Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And to celebrate Guns N' Roses playing Bilbao, Spain tonight, I wanted to take a look at some of their past concerts in Spain, mostly during the Use Your Illusion tour, and talk about some of the controversy and the events surrounding their concerts. So I did something similar for Slane Castle. It seemed like a lot of you guys liked it, so I'm going to do the same thing for Spain. So these are some pictures of the stadium where Guns will be playing in Spain tomorrow night, just to give you guys a glimpse of what the actual stadium looks like. Now, in 1992, Guns N' Roses were going to play Spain for the first time in the band's history. And they had three cities they were going to play. They were going to play Barcelona, which is sort of to the east on the coast. They were going to play Madrid, which is more inland. And then they were going to play Seville, which is in the south. And in the end, Guns N' Roses only played one show in Spain. The Madrid and the Barcelona gigs got canceled, and we'll get to the reason why they were canceled in a bit. So Guns N' Roses were about to play Rome, Italy on June 28th, 1992, but Duff was ill, so they had to cancel that show. The previous show that Guns played was actually in Turin, Italy on June 27th, and that one you can find on YouTube. And, Guns had a couple days off because of Duff's illness. And then their next show was on June 30th, 1992 in Seville, Spain. So the band took a couple days off. They were actually celebrating Duff and Linda's engagement, who was Duff's second wife. So to actually celebrate the engagement, the band rented a 180-foot luxury motor cruiser called Maxime's for a party cruise along the Italian coastline. So the day they spent, swimming, snorkeling, water skiing, fishing, and attempting to master the jet skis. And then on the day of the actual gig in Seville, Guns basically left from the Italian coast and flew to Seville. Now, luckily for them in Seville, there was no curfew to obey, so the band actually delayed the start of their concert until darkness so that the light show can be seen in full and finish the band's set in the early hours of the morning. So the Seville gig wasn't too memorable. It was pretty much a standard Guns N' Roses show. This is the set list that they played in Seville, and the set list may not be in the correct order, but this is the best I was able to find online. And it may have also been broadcast on FM radio. So one thing that really startled me about the show in Seville is that in southern Spain, flamenco music is really popular, and rock and roll music back in 1992 wasn't quite as popular. So when Guns N' Roses first announced their shows in Spain, the Madrid show sold out immediately, the Barcelona gig sold out really quickly, but the Seville show, they couldn't even move tickets. They only sold 4,000 tickets originally, and we're talking about a stadium of 40, 50,000 people that they were going to play to. So the promoter started to panic a bit, and he basically started discounting the tickets at half price. In fact, a lot of bars and restaurants started giving the tickets away for free if you were just willing to come and have a meal there. So by the time that Guns N' Roses actually played the gig, the stadium was actually full. And during the actual band intros at the show in Seville, Axl announced that Dizzy Reed was a new dad and congratulated him, which is kind of funny because almost a year before that, Dizzy Reed was involved with a paternity lawsuit, which you can actually see the highlights of on YouTube, which I've linked to down below. And during the actual concert, instead of Axl getting upset, which he did get upset at one point, Slash had some technical issues during his guitar solo, and Slash looked pretty pissed off and left the stage. And Dizzy and Teddy played an instrumental jam on the piano while Slash left. And a couple minutes later, Slash continued his solo, and Axl actually said, "Thank you, Spain," during Knocking on Heaven's Door. And during Don't Cry, Axl actually had to tell the crowd to stop throwing sparklers, which is also an issue that they had when they played Portugal around the same time. Now let's talk about what happened in Madrid. Guns N' Roses were supposed to play Madrid and Barcelona. Now the Barcelona gig was canceled for some reason I'm still not able to find out. Maybe if some of you folks are from Spain, you can let me know. But the Madrid gig was really something I'd never heard of before. So Guns were ready to play Madrid, but the actual stadium where they were going to play had a structural issue. So the actual venue where Guns was supposed to play in Madrid, they had actually discovered before Guns were set to play it that the actual concrete had what some people call a disease. So it's called aluminosis, and it's something that's pretty common in a lot of Spanish buildings built around the 1950s or so. So it's just the quality of concrete that they use and the mix design that actually makes it structurally unsafe. So on short notice, the actual Guns N' Roses crew tried to find an alternative venue in Madrid. They weren't able to, so the Madrid gig was canceled, and the Barcelona gig was canceled too, and it was just decided that Guns N' Roses would play Madrid and Barcelona the following year when they'd be coming through Europe on the Skin and Bones tour. So this is the venue where Guns N' Roses actually played in Seville, and I was just in Seville about a month ago, and I gotta say it's easily my favorite city in Spain out of all the places we went to, and we went to about a dozen different places in Spain. But if you guys ever get the chance to go there, I highly recommend it. I would easily go back there in a heartbeat. So the day following the actual gig that Guns did in Seville, Spain, some members of the band actually took a special guided tour of the World Exposition site. So the World Expo actually happened in 1992 in Seville, and we were there a month ago, and you could see that they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of the World Expo. And Slash actually made an excursion to a derelict building inhabited by a small herd of sheep and goats for a photo session. Unfortunately, I think Robert Johns probably got those photos, and in the early evening, news reached the management that the authorities had closed the 55,000 capacity Vicente Calderón Stadium in Madrid, where GNR was set to play the last day of the tour on July 4th because of the concrete fabric of the building had been badly affected by aluminosis. And Axel actually put out a statement to the Spanish fans saying, "We were looking forward to the last date in Europe as we love the Spanish audiences and we're planning on a wild night to end the tour. We hope we will be able to return soon and make it up to our fans." So the last gig that Guns N' Roses did on this leg of the tour was actually in Lisbon, Portugal on July 2nd, which was also the one-year anniversary of the St. Louis riot. So fast forward now a year to 1993, Guns N' Roses are touring around Europe. They're coming towards the tail end of their Europe tour, and on June 30th of 1993, they just played Modena, Italy, and they were supposed to play Salerno, Italy on July 2nd, which would have been the second-year anniversary of the St. Louis riot, but for some reason the show was canceled. So the next gig was actually in Barcelona, and this gig was on July 5th, 1993. This is a very important date for Guns N' Roses fans. If you read Duff's book, he states that this was the concert where before the band went on stage, Doug Goldstein came into the room where, you know, the band would hang out and basically told Slash and Duff that Axl wouldn't go on stage unless they signed over the rights to the Guns N' Roses name. Now, Slash doesn't talk about this incident in his book. He seems to make it sound like the actual signing of the name came, you know, later on in 1995. But if you look at the actual legal documents, it says September of 1992. But this is the story according to Duff, although Duff makes it clear that he doesn't think it was an Axl thing. It was more of a management thing. Now, one thing I've found a little bit interesting is if you guys go watch the Milton Keynes show that Guns did with Izzy, I think it was end of May 1993, they actually refer to Doug Goldstein. They actually wish him best of luck because Doug Goldstein was actually going to be leaving the tour for a couple of weeks. And, you know, Doug Goldstein claims that he was never even in Barcelona because his son was being born. So I'm kind of, if you look at the timelines, it depends what a couple of weeks really means because, you know, a couple of weeks to some people means 2 weeks. Maybe Doug Goldstein was gone longer than a couple of weeks. Maybe it was a month or so. But, you know, we'll never really know the true story of how the actual signing of the name happened. You can only go by the legal documents, which say 1992. So Guns N' Roses are about to play Barcelona, and before the show, Axl is shown drinking water on the stadium screens before the show, and the crowd cheers. And after Live and Let Die, Axl holds up a flag that some fans made. And, of course, Axl goes off on Izzy again, and he dedicates Double Talk and Jive to him. And the band actually jammed on Train Kept Rollin' during Double Talk and Jive as well. And during the actual gig, Del James dressed up as a Domino's pizza delivery man, and he played the congas on Used to Love Her. Now, this is a set list that they played in Barcelona in 1993. It was a bit of a shorter show. You know, Paradise City was the last song played like it was every concert. There's only 19 songs played. A lot of the songs you see here, the Guns have been playing on their reunion tour. The only ones that are maybe a bit different are Dead Flowers, You Ain't the First, You're Crazy, and, of course, Dead Horse as well. Talk about the events that happened, you know, around the time they were in Barcelona. So Guns N' Roses flew from Bologna, Italy to Barcelona, and Duff was, you know, he hadn't really released a solo record yet, but he had a signing that happened at the Barcelona Virgin Megastore. It attracted over 3,000 people, and the National Guard had to be called in to restore order because the crowds were spilling out onto the streets. And one of the commenters on one of my videos said they actually went to that record store signing and said it was as crazy as what people reported it. And in the evening, Gilby and his wife Daniela went to dinner with Skid Row drummer Rob Affuso and his girlfriend, who also happened to be Guns N' Roses band masseuse Sabrina Okamoto. And Slash and Robert John were with a film crew from BBC. They were probably filming Guns N' Roses Photographic History, and they were actually filming part of it on one of the Gaudi buildings. And then they also were going to go to the Sagrada Familia, which you see here, but they were just overwhelmed with the number of fans that tried to mob the guitarist. And meanwhile, Dizzy, his wife Lisa, and their one-year-old daughter Sky basically got to go shopping before Dizzy accompanied Slash and some crew members to a massive beer festival 2 blocks from their Hilton hotel. And Axl was actually in Verona at the time watching U2. So the next day, Guns N' Roses fly to Madrid. They're playing the same stadium they were supposed to play in 1992, which had the luminosis issue. Now it seems like they must have done some structural repairs to actually fix the stadium. And, you know, the actual Madrid gig was a pretty standard Guns N' Roses gig. Slash did play Since I Don't Have You as an instrumental intro to Sweet Child of Mine. And during Knocking on Heaven's Door, Matt and Duff actually swapped instruments. And then later after the gig, they actually combed the city's nightclubs. The following day, Duff and photographer Robert John actually toured Madrid trying to find locations to take potential publicity shots and album cover shots for Duff's upcoming solo album, which releases in the fall of 1993. So that does it for this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are going to the gig tonight in Spain, I hope you guys have a great time. And if you can let me know how things go, I'd appreciate it too. So hit the like button if you enjoyed the contents of this video, and be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links to my social media accounts are down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care.